Hey, it's me, a fashionably late Shirana Itsuki. I've been working on this script for so long that it literally stopped being the holiday I was trying to make this video for. It's currently April Fool's Day, but this is not a bit or a joke. This is a serious video. It's just a day late. Yesterday, March 31st, was Easter and International Transgender Day of Visibility. And I did do an Easter video, which was less serious because the point of that video was to have some fun and get it done on time. The point of this video, and it's a point that I don't want to spend too much time dancing around, is to say that I'm transgender. If that's enough information for you, then there you go. I'm trans, male or female. You don't have to act on that information in any specific way. I'm just being visible for the holiday. In the first version of this script, I wrote that I wanted to explain this properly, and that was why I couldn't just rush this out for the sake of getting it posted before midnight. But honestly, the idea that I had to explain this, and that there was a proper way to do so, was probably just rooted in me being nervous about how people are going to react. I was going to be very open about a lot of things that I don't usually talk about and that I frankly don't want to talk about, because I thought cramming as much information as possible into the video would make it easy for people to understand where I'm at and how I got here. But that script ended up jumping directly into an 11-page essay about theology, which was then going to segue into a discussion of how language fundamentally works. I don't even know how long that was going to be, but I realized that having 7 different tabs open for research on different epistemological models probably wasn't going to make things easier for me to explain to people. So I've decided that right now is not the time to go quite that in-depth on the subject. If I thought I was talking to people who don't support trans identities, then expecting to outright change their mind was a little arrogant. And if I thought I was talking to people who do support trans identities, then justifying myself is redundant. So here we are in the second draft of the script, which amounts to me basically throwing the whole script out and starting from the introduction again. I'm not going to make you sit through a Bible study out of some compulsion to prove that I can grow up Christian, come to terms with having gender dysphoria, start treating it, and stay Christian anyway. I don't need to prove that because I can just say it. I don't have to renounce my faith to be trans, and I don't have to stay a boy to follow God. I genuinely don't see a conflict, and I did go looking for one on purpose back when I was younger, and I wanted an excuse not to face the challenges of transitioning. So since I'm skipping the part where I try to convince you that I know what I'm doing, we can just cover those challenges and what makes them worth the trouble for me. I did try really, really hard to not have to transition because it's difficult and kind of weird, you know? Like, not in a bad way, but it is weird. And I maybe did stuff in a weird order. Basically, I've been on estrogen for like a while. I started in July of 2022. This is not new. I just didn't bring it up. I'm also on progesterone now, just to try it, and I started that like 2 weeks ago. I'm basically just using it as a sleeping pill, though. I don't know what else it's supposed to do. I got a headache on like day 2 of taking it, but since then I've pretty much been fine. Part of the reason I'm making this video, actually, is the fact that I'm kind of done medically. I have my prescriptions and I'm not planning to have any surgeries. So my strategy of going after the body dysphoria first and waiting to revisit the social aspects, well, it worked. I'm way more physically comfortable with myself now, which means that priority has been checked off and I don't really have to worry about it. But like, I've put myself into a weird spot where I don't really pass as anything, so I'm kind of having to refocus and push a bit further on lining things up. Mostly the voice. I should be voice training. Like, right now I should be doing that, and I've spent literally all day on this video instead. I used to be fine with my voice, but I've just about moved on from the one compliment that a random depressed girl on the internet gave me like 7 years ago, and I think being a freaking baritone is probably my biggest weak point in presenting as femme. I mean, I had a running tally of strangers who thought I was a girl before my hormone treatments, and ironically that tally has not ticked up since I started them. But anyway, That's probably more than enough of my personal life at this point. I do want to cover what this means for the channel. I'm not changing my VTuber name. Itsuki is a gender-neutral name. I did that on purpose. In fact, I was actually mostly stealing the name from the fingernail girl in Kakegurui, so I kind of think of it as a girl's name already, but it's technically gender-neutral. As far as pronouns go, I don't care enough yet. I have avoided the question for my entire VTuber career, and I'm probably just going to keep dodging it. Call me whatever you want, it's not really a priority. At the moment, Shirana Itsuki as a, character does remain presentationally male. I don't have the budget for a model change right now because I blew all my money on going to college and the doctor's office like a loser. I can't just commission art whenever I want anymore. I will be voice training, but I'm not going to subject you to the growing pains of that. Whatever content I make is basically going to proceed as if nothing is different. But the voice dysphoria is one of the reasons that I've been so lax with my upload schedule. Recording and editing were easier when I was pretending to not hate how I sounded. Now, granted, the speaking voice that I'm using right now still sounds better than me trying to pull off a girl voice, but that's what the training is for. It'll take a while, so. Speaking of making content, though, I do legitimately think that I should be making more videos. I just forget and lose track of time. But overall, I like doing it. I also like writing, and just to wrap this back around to the Trans Day of Visibility thing, shout out to the trans characters in my web fiction, Zevroshal and Crystal Lowe. Neither of them have gotten an actual chapter lately of the story they're in. We'll see if I can do something about that. This was a super aimless video, and I'm more over it than done with it. You don't get a proper planned out conclusion. The video's just over.